Humanity's first meeting with aliens was supposed to change history. It did. But not because of us, because of cats. When humanity first reached the stars, we believed we were ready. We had rehearsed the speeches, drafted treaties, and trained ambassadors in a dozen alien etiquette manuals based on speculative xenology. We imagined scenarios where our weapons intimidated, our technology impressed, or our wisdom inspired awe. What we did not prepare for was the presence of cats. Yes, cats. The humble, aloof, whisker-faced tyrants that rule Earth households with velvet paws. The year was 2149, and the United Nations of Seoul had finally confirmed intelligent life in the Gliese 581 system. The aliens, calling themselves the VRRL Shan, were technologically advanced, socially structured, and curious about humanity. They had sent a delegation requesting formal contact on neutral grounds. The chosen site was aboard the starship Athena Prime, the pride of Earth's fleet, polished until its hull gleamed like a mirror. Representatives from every major Earth nation attended, along with scientists, translators, and military observers. Humanity wanted to make the perfect impression. Unfortunately, perfection ended the moment Dr. Helena Cross, head xenobiologist and proud cat owner, smuggled 2 domestic cats aboard. Her reasoning? Simple. These animals are part of human culture, she argued. If we're to represent humanity, we should not exclude our closest companions. The security chief rolled his eyes but relented. After all, they were only cats. What harm could they possibly cause? The VRRL Shan did not resemble humans in the slightest. Imagine towering mantis-like beings, with crystalline carapaces that refracted light into shimmering rainbows. Their eyes were multifaceted like gemstones, and their voices carried a metallic resonance that sounded both eerie and majestic. They arrived in procession, their leader, High Speaker Scath, striding with regal composure. Behind him trailed advisors, warriors, and interpreters, their movements synchronized like a living symphony. The humans stood to greet them, hearts racing with anticipation. Speeches were prepared. Cameras were ready. History was about to be made. And then, a cat yawned. The cat in question was Professor Whiskers, a portly tabby who had chosen that moment to saunter into the negotiation chamber, leap onto the polished conference table, and sprawl across the documents awaiting signatures. The VRRL Shan froze. Every multifaceted eye focused on the feline. High Speaker Scath tilted his crystalline head and whispered to his advisors in tones sharp as breaking glass. Moments later, an interpreter turned to the humans. We are honored to meet the sovereign of your people. Confusion rippled across the human delegation. The interpreter gestured toward Professor Whiskers. We recognize the true ruler of Earth. The smaller, furless bipeds must be his attendants. Gasps. Stifled laughter. An embarrassed cough from the UN ambassador. But the VRRL Shan weren't joking. They bowed, deep, reverent bows, to the cat. Professor Whiskers responded with a long, bored blink, then rolled onto his back, exposing his stomach. To the aliens, this appeared to be a profound ritual gesture. The VRRL Shan advisors immediately imitated it, flopping onto their crystalline shells in what must have been an excruciating display of loyalty. The humans scrambled to correct the misunderstanding. No, you see, the ambassador stammered, the cat is, a companion animal. A pet. We are the rulers of Earth. But the VRRL Shan were unconvinced. You feed it, clean its waste, provide it shelter, and obey its demands for touch, said the interpreter bluntly. This is not subjugation. Clearly, the felines are your overlords. As if to prove their point, the second cat, an imperious Siamese named Cleo, leapt onto the lap of the French foreign minister and demanded head scratches mid-sentence. The minister, flustered, complied instantly, scratching behind her ears while trying to resume his dignity. The aliens watched this act with awe. To serve one's master so diligently in the middle of a treaty, whispered Scath, is the height of loyalty. What followed was perhaps the strangest diplomatic summit in galactic history. Every time the humans tried to steer the conversation back to trade agreements, defense pacts, or scientific exchange, the cats interrupted. Professor Whiskers jumped into the high speaker's lap and began kneading with his paws. The alien stiffened, then began emitting strange purring noises of his own, an attempt, perhaps, to mimic the cat's language. Cleo, meanwhile, decided the grand ceremonial banner of the VRRL Shan was the perfect toy. She shredded it with casual elegance, batting at the dangling tassels while horrified alien aides scrambled to interpret whether this was a declaration of war or a royal decree. Negotiations stalled completely. Every agenda item was derailed by meows, for shedding, and the occasional hiss. At one point, a translator leaned toward the ambassador and muttered, "If your leaders demand more offerings of fish, we are prepared to grant them." The humans were mortified. Centuries of preparation for first contact, reduced to cat worship. The climax came when Professor Whiskers decided he was bored. He leapt onto the holographic projector displaying the proposed treaty. His paws activated random functions, filling the room with flickering star maps and distorted alien script. The VRRL Shan gasped. To them, this was not chaos, it was prophecy. The Supreme One has rewritten the treaty. Scath cried. His wisdom surpasses all comprehension. The new treaty draft, which now contained nonsense symbols and accidental paw prints, was immediately hailed as a sacred document. The humans protested furiously. The ambassador tried to snatch the cat from the projector, but Whiskers responded with an indignant yowl and a swipe of claws. Cameras captured the moment, humanity's representative humbled before his feline master. In the end, the negotiations were saved not by diplomacy, but by tuna. Dr. Cross, realizing the cats were the center of attention, produced a stash of treats. She placed them in ceremonial bowls before the feline duo. Whiskers and Cleo devoured the offering while the VRRL Shan looked on in reverence. Scath rose and declared, "We, the VRRL Shan, pledge eternal alliance with the dominion of cats and their loyal human servants. May our civilizations prosper together under feline guidance." The humans had no choice but to nod, smile, and sign. Officially, Earth's first interstellar treaty was ratified in the name of Professor Whiskers the Magnificent and Cleo the Eternal. Back on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Memes exploded across the networks. Cats in royal crowns. Humans in servant uniforms. The hashtag #CatOverlords has been trending for months. Politicians tried to downplay it, insisting humanity still held authority. But the footage of diplomats bowing to cats told another story. For the VRRL Shan, the matter was settled. When their fleets arrived in orbit, they didn't request an audience with presidents or generals. They asked for the cats. Soon, cats became galactic celebrities. Entire space stations were built, royal habitats, for them. Treaties were negotiated through the simple act of scratching a feline's chin or refilling a food bowl. Humans, red-faced, played along. After all, the arrangement brought peace, trade, and unprecedented technological exchange. But privately, diplomats grumbled. "We are building interstellar civilization, on the whims of creatures who sleep 18 hours a day." Historians still debate whether this was humanity's greatest embarrassment, or its greatest stroke of luck. On one hand, our species was reduced to the role of caretaker servants in the galactic hierarchy. On the other hand, the cat's supposed rulership provided us with unique leverage. After all, if aliens truly believed felines were our overlords, then every human who owned a cat suddenly held political influence. Diplomatic summits now include mandatory feline attendance. Some households rent out particularly regal-looking cats to embassies, earning fortunes. Cats, of course, remain utterly indifferent to their newfound status. They nap on interstellar thrones, knock priceless alien artifacts off shelves, and demand snacks at the most inconvenient moments. And yet, the system works. Wars have been averted because Whiskers Jr. sat on a star map and chose neutral territory. Trade routes were decided because a kitten batted its paw toward one region of space. Entire galactic policies now hinge on the whims of creatures that chase laser pointers. First contact nearly failed, because of cats. Or perhaps, it succeeded because of them. When we look back centuries from now, we may realize that humanity's greatest ambassadors were not presidents, generals, or scholars. They were the same companions who curled up in our laps on quiet nights, purred when we needed comfort, and ignored us when we sought attention. The VRRL may never respect humanity as equals. But they will always respect the cats. And as long as we remain their caretakers, the galaxy will treat us well. So perhaps, in the end, the true rulers of Earth have simply expanded their dominion, one pawprint at a time.